And on a Sunday, my ticket is a one-way. I'm about to play in the sky. I always knew you'd make it one day. Today was such a fun day. And I think I'm the first. I got out, free fly, kiss the sky, and fell in love.
Ladies and gentlemen, Relativity, Connor and Casper Shaheen.
She said, far from fairy tales, she read with nails on her crucifix. And he said, in his crown of thorns, he led a ceaseless storm inside his head. But the lies she told were a cage she made, where she could hold pain from yesterday. And he so loved, traded heart for pain, for miracles that blossomed in the rain. She told where a cage she made, where she could hold pain from yesterday. And he so loved, traded heart for pain, for miracles that blossomed in the rain.
Yeah. What up, boys? How's it going?
We're doing good.
Yeah.
Good to be here.
Awesome. What was the name of that song?
That was Marigolds in the Rain.
Marigolds in the Rain.
Yes.
All right. Are you releasing that? How would somebody find that song?
Well, at the moment, I'm working on putting it in a new album that I'm working on. I haven't found a good name for the album yet. It's
Awesome.
pending.
Okay.
But once I get that album fully recorded, I'm planning on releasing it on YouTube
Right.
and trying to make a CD about it. I don't know how to get that sold because I have never gone into the whole commercial showbiz.
Right.
But, you know, there's a first for everything.
I'd invite you to maybe crowd share it and have the flight community make videos.
That would be cool, yeah.
Right?
That'd be awesome.
Right? Tunnel and outdoor skydiving. Right?
I'd love it.
Speaking
That'd be awesome.
My future Olympian friends, future of the sport of
Yes.
skydiving, musicians, multi-talented, genuinely really good people, really good
Aw,
kids. Known you guys for,
thanks.
I know you're not kids anymore. Known you for 3 years since you were kids.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, we were
Little
small.
babies?
We
Yeah.
were
It's
It's been more
small.
than 3 years. We've been
Right.
flying for like 4.5 years.
Oh, yeah.
And you were here
New
since
Year's
the
Eve.
beginning.
Yeah. So 4.5 years.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, you guys are
Going
only
on 5.
competing for 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Going on 5 years.
Going on
Yeah.
5 years.
Known you guys since you're a little man.
Yo, we were tiny. I remember one time we walked up to you and you were like telling us that we
Towering
got to. You
giant.
told us that we had to build some muscle mass, and we're like, how do we do that? How do we just do that? Because we were just tiny.
No kidding.
That's terrible. That's funny, man. That is funny. So, man, there's so many places to start. But I want to tell you, just because you're twins, I've got to get this out of the way. I think I've asked you like 5
No
times.
worries, I don't.
Every time I see you.
It's all good.
All right. I went to this site called Live Science and
Yes.
studied
Oh, yeah.
monozygotes.
Ooh.
Monozygotes.
Twins.
Nice.
Yeah, you guys. Are you identical or?
Identical.
You're
Identical.
Yes, you're
Right.
monozygotes. Not
Yeah.
the yeah. So, ESP, extra sensory perception.
Shut up, Casper.
Yeah.
Is
Is it real?
It's
It is.
It's
It is.
To an
I
extent,
know it is.
it is real. To an extent, it is real. We have this sort of skill that we've honed throughout the years just because we've had the same experiences that allow us to sort of,
Figure
predict
out what we're
the
trying to
other's
say.
thinking, what they're going to
It's-
say, and what
it's-
they're going to do. It's less to do with knowing what's going to happen and being able to predict what's going to happen.
It's a
with each
behavioral
other.
thing.
Yeah.
So I can say like one line from any movie, and if we've seen it once 10 years ago, Casper will still remember what movie I'm talking about.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
no
right,
kidding.
right. Hold on, go back to what you just said. It was
Behavioral.
Behavioral.
not instinctual.
Instinctual behavioral. It's
Okay.
kind
I'd
of
say
the
it
code of it.
arises behaviorally because anytime you have two people who have been raised in the same exact
Oh,
environment,
right. So
and
that
you're
has
brought
nothing to
up in
do
that way.
with the twin aspect. That's just being around
Yeah,
each other
yeah,
constantly.
pretty much.
And being grouped by society as
Oh, yeah.
together, no matter if you wanted to or
Definitely.
not.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
just the deal.
I'm
Yeah,
glad
yeah.
it was though. I'm glad we did get
Oh
grouped
yeah,
together.
you're lucky.
We're a
What if you
team,
didn't
bud.
like your
Team.
brother?
Yeah,
Hey, so you are competitive indoor skydiving competitors.
Yes, sir.
I think I messed
It's kind of a
that up.
mouthful.
It's all
Oh
good.
yeah, yeah.
Too many
But
words to say.
you're cutting edge. You're standing on the shoulders of giants, and you're doing a good job of it.
And I'm about to
Right.
base jump off of them.
Right,
shoulders
into the
of
world, right?
Terrifying.
But in the tunnel, in the wind tunnel, when you guys are flying together and you're working on new routines, free routines.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a communication instructors have that we all have from being in the glass.
Oh yeah,
right.
definitely.
You two are on another level because you'll be in the midst of the most intricate, difficult thing I've ever seen somebody try to do, and one of you will land and be like, "Ba-ba-da," and you'll be like, "Ba-ba-da," and he's like, "Ba-ba-da," right? And you guys go in and you stick it, right? It's like, man, that's a lot of communication. And when you're flying, I mean, it's amazing to watch, and I wonder if there's an edge on that because
Definitely an edge.
I think there is.
We're the only
yeah.
people that we've flown with, like 2-on-2 for as long as we have.
And so we
Right.
have this sort of instinctual
My
sort of
whole
language.
life.
Yes,
Right,
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
Casper
Uh-huh.
makes a mistake. I usually know what the mistake was, and
And
if I make a mistake, he usually knows what the mistake is,
Yeah.
and we both know how to fix it usually.
mhm.
And you play music and write music and
Oh,
create
yeah.
together, so that
Everything
the
we do
connection and the
together.
bond is intense.
Oh yeah, when we first started, like with the whole music thing, the only reason we like kept at it was because we had somebody else to help us
play
out.
off of, so,
Like,
Yeah, yeah. Who?
Each other.
Oh,
That's it.
okay. I see what you mean. Like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, of
Yeah.
course,
I would-
right?
I
You
would
just bounce it
play-
off your brother.
I would play like a melody, and Casper would bounce off another melody, and I'd
Right,
play chords over that.
right.
In fact, whenever we first started, Connor would pick up chords and rhythms and stuff like that. And because I'm not like a vocalist, but I do like the melody, the idea of melody-driven songs. So I would start learning the vocals on the guitar. I would learn the notes for the vocals, and I would play those
Yep.
over his chords. And that's
I
how we
saw you
got
do
to
it with the
that.
ukulele a second ago.
Yeah, yeah,
and that
yeah.
was awesome.
Oh, thank
Yeah,
You
I
can
heard
just-
exactly what you were saying.
can just
right?
make that up.
He said, yeah, you just did it. That was
Yeah.
awesome. That is awesome. And you guys have been playing music since you learned how to walk, basically.
Actually, we picked up music in middle school, 7th grade.
And how old were you when you started tunnel flying?
I
About
have
that,
no
about
clue.
that,
About that
age.
time.
About that age.
So that's when you guys met Kanechi.
Yeah.
Yes,
Andrew,
yes.
yeah.
Andrew.
Yeah,
right.
I'm so glad we figured out how to finally pronounce that name.
Right,
No
no,
kidding.
Connecticut.
I love
that
that
is
name.
kind of
It's a killer. I love
Connecticut,
it. It's a
man.
good name.
Catch up. Shout out. Andrew, extremely interesting dude.
Oh, yeah.
Kindest heart in the world.
Yes.
Totally.
Came from the YMCA, became an instructor, and he's just the most amazing person I know. Tabitha, shout out to Tabitha. They're up in Westchester, New York. Love you guys.
Been down there.
Love you guys.
So he was running the kids club at the time,
That's true.
and you guys were in the kids
Yeah,
club, and
yeah.
it was like he's like, why just keep it flying? Of course, Andrew having his background, you guys were having rock sessions at the tunnel and
Yes.
have
Yeah.
been ever since.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that was
He's-
awesome.
He's in a cover band, right? Metallica.
yeah.
cover
Oh
band.
yeah, well
Metallica
he's
cover band.
is it not is that what he's doing now? I know
I-
before he was in like a crazy like death metal band.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, yeah,
He'd
he-
bring
like
he'd bring the guitars up like
Yeah.
on the summer camp that we did,
Mhm.
and like
Summer
all four
camp.
of us were
it
just
was
in there.
summer camp.
Yeah, it was.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was rad.
Mm-hmm.
And who else had who else was in that summer camp with you? Was Santa
It
in there?
was Sabrina.
Sabrina
Do you remember
and-
Sabrina?
No, I don't remember.
She was. She used to come a lot more often.
Brown hair. She used
Okay.
to come a lot more often. I don't think
Yeah.
I've seen her on the tunnel that much anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
she was cool. She was really shy. Really
Okay.
shy.
Who were the other musicians though? Because I remember there was a day that everybody had an instrument in their hand.
I think
like
it was
that.
mostly instructors that just sort of hopped on board.
Oh,
with
Are you
okay.
talking about that one
music
time that we
thing.
were doing that farewell?
Probably.
Yeah,
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 that was a
oh,
bunch
yeah.
of instructors who sort of picked up the guitars and stuff like that.
Oh,
you know?
okay. Yeah, yeah. I was like, man, everybody in there has
Yeah,
something.
no
I was like,
kidding, right? Everyone's got a musical note in their body. They just have
Yeah.
to find
It's
it.
true. It's true.
Mhm.
Everybody has hip hop in their body too.
True.
You guys got
Yeah.
rhymes?
Yeah.
I know you got rhymes. You're a writer. You ever write flow?
Flo.
Hip hop. You ever write any raps?
I tried once. I'm not gonna lie. I did
Yeah.
try.
Uh-huh.
A
Let
lot
me
of the
hear
stuff that I write is like it could be a rap,
Uh-huh.
but
right.
then when you put like the instrumentation that I write, because I use a lot of folk music like
Uh-huh.
style,
Mhm,
so
yeah.
I put like really fast rhyming lyrics together,
Right.
and then I put a folk guitar behind it,
Right.
and so it's like a different genre, like
Well, sick.
slightly.
Well, you should put a bass behind it and see what happens.
Oh
Yes,
yeah, we
that'd be
definitely have a
awesome.
bass guitar.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
messed
We've been
around with it the
working
other
on
day, actually.
Hey,
Yeah.
can we hear your rhyme?
I actually don't remember. It was just like
Alright.
one time I was sitting in our man space at the house.
Right
And
on.
I was just throwing words together and seeing what.
I have
bounced off each
I have
other's stick.
a good song about ice cream.
Ooh.
All right.
You want to hear it?
Yeah, I want to hear it.
Okay, this is a love song, but it's a love song about ice cream.
All right. I love
See
ice
if I
cream.
can. It's exactly what it's called. I love ice cream. I'm gonna
I
have to-
love ice cream.
And that's pretty much how it
There we
sounds.
go. Here's
Alright.
what it says.
Ooh, that is out of tune.
Is this pretty much the same chords as the last song?
So I met these kids at the tunnel flying. Got to know them over the last 5 years. Dang, time flies. They're genuinely the best, some of the best people I know. That's why they're here. Amazing souls. Always, even in the most frustrating times of flying, when they're hitting the glass, you tell them, hey. At another time, somebody get frustrated being taught at that moment, and you guys take it and you move forward with it. And you always try the stupid shit I come up with when I'm driving for you, right?
Oh yeah, it's so fun, so fun.
Part of it, yeah.
Like, try this, man. It look
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
You know that you hit the glass. That's my
Yeah,
fault.
totally.
All right, so let's talk about some ice cream.
All right, here we go. Searching for a better way to say those sweet words, don't you know? You know, all day I could say those sweet chords spinning before. Out of my mind, out of my head, looking for a better way to say what should have been said. Here you are starting out, look around it, it's all been done before. Maybe I should just come out and see. I love ice cream. There ain't nothing like a fresh cone in the sun. 'Cause it makes me happy, and it's the one thing that makes me feel like I am the one. But the sweetest of refreshing flavors, toppings to go and to savor. It's an unconditional love for ice cream.
Yeah.
It's a work in progress. It's one of the 3 songs that I have so far. Well, one of
Right
the 2
on.
songs
the
I have
3
about
best
food.
songs.
About food.
Yeah.
I write a lot of songs about food.
Really?
A lot of love songs about food. There's another one about pineapples. That'll come later.
But, that's awesome, man. I remember I used to write music, and it was just all day.
Oh
That's
yeah.
cool. Did
Yeah.
you ever play any
I-
instruments?
I played the viola.
Oh, the
Dude,
viola. I've been
that is
wanting to
awesome.
learn like the violin, viola, that sort of class of instruments.
I just did it so I could sniff
a
the
long
rosin.
you know,
just
you've
say-
done that before.
I just say that to the little kids in the class. I was like, hey, what's your fun fact? They're like, I play the violin. I was like, do you sniff the rosin? The parents are like, yeah, I should probably stop saying that to children. Play the drums,
Drums.
are good.
uh,
Awesome.
which
Definitely
helped
good.
me in a fight once. I had just learned how to play drums, and the drill was right, left, right, right, left, right, left,
Mhm.
left, right, left,
And I
right,
started
right.
punching
I
somebody.
was, we were fighting. I was like, pow, pow, pow. And I just stuck to the cadence and closed my eyes. I whooped his
my
ass.
goodness.
That is
was,
awesome.
that was a long time ago. Yeah, that was 7th grade. You know, you get
Oh,
to
yeah.
junior high. They're like, you want to take
Middle
music?
school.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, music.
You know, I've always tried to play the guitar. I haven't sat down and focused on it. I know I
Mhm.
can learn it. I've
Need
learned
to-
songs. I used to play. I love musicians. This
Oh,
is
musicians are
come on,
awesome.
man. We're
Yeah.
creators, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
Right. Currently lifeguards.
Yes.
Yes.
Pretty rad. Are you living that?
It's an awesome job, but
Stressful.
it's a really stressful job.
Right,
At the
right.
same
Yeah.
time, I would much rather work as a lifeguard than like bagging groceries at like an
course.
HEB or
Mhm.
something.
Of course.
It's a great.
You're doing
opportunity to
something-
Get out there, help the society.
Yeah,
you know,
you're
give
helping the
back to
community.
Right on.
Mhm.
How old are you dudes?
17, Jinx.
17. Yeah, okay. Very responsible kids, man.
No,
You see what I'm saying?
no,
The
we're
future.
totally not
The
responsible.
future, get
we
out
have
of
that
here.
responsible aura, but
Right.
Behind
Yeah.
is just like a messy desk combined
know.
with like lost shoes.
Yeah, I talked to your dad. You're like, oh my God. What'd you do? You like got the car and broke the handle off the door and locked the keys in
Lock
already?
the keys in the
Ran
car.
out of gas. You
So-
got a
I
didn't break the
job, don't
handle.
you?
It was
What happened was we showed up at work one day.
Oh, this is
And
the
Casper
worst.
like gets out of the car and he looks at himself and he's not wearing his reds. Like in lifeguard, you have to have your uniform. He's not wearing
Yeah.
it. He's just wearing regular clothes and he's like, Connor,
I'm in Riggs clothes. No.
I need my clothes. And
Right.
so like I get out of the car and I'm like, okay, go. And like so I'm telling my manager that Casper's gonna be late, and Casper's like speeding down the highway back home, just trying to get his clothes.
And then I run into the house. I grab my clothes. I run out of the house, like speed out of the neighborhood, get out of there, get to where I'm supposed to go. And when I'm at the pool that we're guarding at, I just like quickly change, throw my clothes with the keys in the pocket of my clothes into the back of the car, lock the car, and shut the car.
Perfect.
It was
Yeah.
the worst day of my job
Now,
by far.
My, what a good story though.
Yeah,
My
right?
question
Great
is
story.
this: why didn't you tell him he wasn't wearing his clothes when he walked out
I
the
had
door
no
that
freaking.
morning?
I wasn't paying attention.
Son.
I was driving. He's like walking up, and I'm like, "You look normal."
No, I bet what he's like, ooh, this is gonna be funny. I want to
was
see
like,
how long.
I'm
it
driving
goes
down
I
the
know.
road. Yes.
Yes.
Let's see how long it takes him to notice.
So when you start skydiving, you guys got to check each other's gears.
Oh,
right?
yes.
Don't
Make
let
sure you're wearing
that.
your
That's the
parachute.
scariest part for me.
Yeah,
like it's
right?
not jumping out of the plane, and
Uh-huh.
it's not even landing or flying through the air that fast.
It's
It's,
making
the,
sure
it's
you
the
pack your
packing the
stuff
parachute
right.
that scares me
Yeah.
the most.
Oh, but that okay, good. I'm glad that you're fearing
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
easy to
And-
get over once
Mhm.
you understand the technology behind the design,
Mm-hmm.
the way it works. Once you see how it works and see how it's sewn together,
Yeah.
right, and how it operates, you won't allow it to get messed up.
Right.
Right. If you hand it to somebody to get packed,
Then
Don't-
you
you've
may
got
or
the
get. I mean,
opportunity,
there are excellent packers in the industry. Don't get me
Mhm.
wrong. There are people that pack hundreds of parachutes a weekend.
Oh yeah.
It's just if anything happens, it's your fault because you didn't pack it. And
Yeah.
packing's not hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's tedious.
It's just
just-
technical.
yeah. Now when you do it over and over, you'll get it. You'll get
Mhm.
it.
Yeah,
I
we have
can't wait to
a-
teach you guys how to jump.
We have a cousin who skydives, and
We watched the
most
process.
technical part of the entire thing was watching him pack his chute at the end. He just like folded everything up,
Yep.
made it all nice and small and compact, and then just fit it right into a suit. It was
Well,
awesome to watch.
wait till you see a base pack job.
Ooh.
Whoa.
Okay, because the difference is skydiving thousands and thousands of feet when you open your parachute, and
Oh,
if
yeah.
it doesn't work, you have an emergency parachute.
Yeah.
So there's two parachutes.
Yeah.
Base jumping's in Texas, it's from a couple hundred feet.
Mm-hmm.
There's no emergency parachute because there's not enough time,
Not enough time to deploy
Mm.
a chute if it doesn't work.
right? So that one shot you got has to be perfect.
That's terrifying.
It is. It is a little scary.
But, you know,
it's hard.
the whole
it's
the whole
heart racing.
point of like life in extreme sports is to get as close to death as possible, and then like
Come back
abort
alive.
right then,
You
and it gets you, and
Right
it gets you,
there.
it gets you like
Full
it gets your blood going, because then you
Yeah.
value what you have, then you value
Yeah.
life
Exactly.
itself.
Yeah.
It makes it a lot more important to you.
Yeah, I see a little bit different than that.
we're
You know, but I mean, I don't search out that moment of death.
Mhm.
I'm just out there, and it just happens to be there.
Mhm.
Oh yeah. I
Right, but I'm not
gotcha. I
seeking
gotcha.
out.
like
Oh,
bumping
let's
into
see
somebody
how
in the group.
crazy I can. You know, it's like, oh, whoa, this is pretty crazy, right? You know,
Yeah.
like,
Right.
yeah. So that doesn't make me any more sane. I don't
Bumping
think
into
that's any
death at the
better.
grocery store.
Yeah. All right, so spelunking.
Oh yes.
We are part of a club at our school. It's not very widely known at our school. It's like
What
one
is
of the-
spelunking for somebody that doesn't know what it
Spelunking
is?
is
Going
going
down
down
the
the
caves,
caves
exploring.
and exploring the caves.
Yeah.
Very
It's
good.
kind of like any kind of
You know
exploration from
Minecraft?
underground.
I'm just kidding.
Yes. Yes, I do.
It's pretty
Basically
much
what it is.
that. It's a very small little tight knit community at our school.
Okay.
Maybe like 13 kids.
Mm.
13 kids total. We have
No.
had some that come and some that leave, including parents and stuff.
I think it's more like 8 kids and 5 adults.
5 adults.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and we just do school. Well, not really school sponsored. We just make our own little.
We made our club,
Mhm.
and what we do in that club is we get to take random field trips during the year when everybody else has to stay in school,
Mm-hmm.
and we get to just go and explore caves. And the part that we don't tell people is we like stay the entire day at random places and then go in the cave for maybe 30 minutes.
Well, you just told everyone.
Well, you know,
We're about to graduate. It's cool. High five.
No kidding.
How do you find the caves? I know there's a huge cave system under Round Rock,
Mhm.
right? And we had a huge sinkhole in
Oh, yeah,
Round Rock
yeah.
the other, like, a couple months ago. That was big, and it fell into one of those inner cavern caves.
Oh yeah, Inner Space
Yeah.
Cabins one.
Yeah, yeah. Have you been down there?
Yeah, we've been to Inner Space. That was for our school sponsored trip though. That was
Yeah.
like
Okay.
as a grade we went there.
Right.
And the way we find the caves is we go to the publicly accessible ones.
yeah.
So
Okay.
all around the state, there's like parks and recreational places where
Recreational
they'll actually
centers.
let you go into
And
caves
there's
and they'll
just
take you
on
in.
your own. You can just go. Is it safe for
Mhm.
kids to go?
A lot of the
It's
places we
safe,
go,
but it's
yeah.
not like a joyride. It's not like you
What was
strap
that?
yourself in and
No, of course not. Of
Yeah.
course not. It's like,
yeah.
but you don't. Have, do
You
you,
have to
you
be
guys need
responsible.
ropes and stuff to.
We
do
haven't
what you're
actually
doing.
gotten to a cave that intense just yet. Mostly
Okay.
it's just like crawling around on your knees, getting
Right,
to know
small
the tunnels and
spaces.
stuff.
Oh,
Right,
yeah.
right.
What was that one that we went to the other last field trip?
Oh,
It was
wait,
like a big mountain,
the big rock. It was
Enchanted Rock.
Enchanted
That's right.
Enchanted, there's caves at Enchanted Rock.
It's
Yeah,
weird,
oh, yeah,
but there's
it's
like it's
crazy.
a system of like boulders that got eroded over time,
Yeah.
and you can go underneath it.
Mm-hmm.
okay.
and it's crazy. That was my
Underneath
favorite.
Enchanted, the dome.
Yes, the dome.
Yeah.
No way.
Yeah.
Where's
Awesome.
the entrance to that at?
It's like, so if this is the dome on
Uh-huh.
top of the giant mountain.
You walk up one side,
you
you
walk
find
up
out
and
the
you
other.
find it in the other. It's just like this big
It's really weird.
crevice
Really?
cracked
Yeah.
down the side.
Because we've gone.
You,
Yeah, we've been in Channel
Such
Rock.
a cool place. I
it's
love it.
It's really, really cool. If I would have found caves that night,
Oh,
I probably wouldn't be
it's
here
amazing.
yeah. Like get trapped underground.
So that's what I'm leading to. Now that you say trapped underground, have you heard about the kids in Thailand?
Yes, I have heard about
So
that.
here's the deal: you guys are lifeguards and cave.
Wait, hold on. I haven't.
Okay, there's
Like,
this,
tell me about this real quick.
okay. So there's a soccer team.
Mhm.
There's
Wait, are they trapped in a cave?
trapped in a
Okay,
deep
It started
cave
flooding.
That's
system.
terrible.
Something about that.
And then some flooding came in. It's a 6-hour trip to get to them, and it's blocked by water. A lot of it. A Navy SEAL diver died trying to put up oxygen tanks to get to them.
Yeah.
And they're so far, right before we started, they've gotten 4 kids out.
That's scary.
But I don't know if they're all alive. There's a bunch of them. It's intense,
yeah.
Mhm. It's on the
right?
wing
And
back.
it's in a deep, deep, deep cave. And so they've been. This is crazy because I've got little kids,
Yeah.
and I just imagine my 10-year-old, 9-year-old in there, and so we're going to try to wait out the rainy season and just give them food and supplies, but they're saying the psychological effects are going to be
That's
long
terrifying.
Yeah,
Be
But
crazy.
and their oxygen's running out because the water's blocked
Water's
off.
rising and the
Right,
oxygen's not
so-
going to get into the cave.
So it's a rush. It's a rush, and it's the rainy season. So
Yeah.
I was just like,
That's just scary stuff, honestly.
Honestly,
Like-
anytime there's any chance of water at all in any form with caves, just steer away from
I
them.
steer
They don't
away.
mix,
And
yeah.
it's like my prayer is like go out to them
Absolutely.
because
yeah.
like a situation like that, like that's something that you hold with your entire life,
Mm-hmm.
and the fear factor that's like these kids have gone through. They have to be like some of the bravest people to somehow be
Able to
maintain.
come out from that and still be,
have the mental fortitude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's scary stuff, but definitely like best of luck to them.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Best of luck.
But
Yeah.
no, I'm not.
Good luck, kids.
I didn't-
Prayers,
that,
yeah.
that sounds
prayers
that
is
sounds like
better.
satirical, but I don't mean it like
I
that.
know you don't. I know you
absolutely.
don't. I know you don't. And man, no light for a little bit until somebody found them. They were
Yeah.
in there for a week before somebody found them.
That's insane. That's crazy.
Yeah. So thoughts and prayers of that. But here's my thought.
Absolutely, yeah.
Here's my thought. The 25-year-old coach that took him back there is going to be the last one out, right? They're going to get the kids out first, and then he's going to have to sit his ass in there in the dark alone for a little bit.
Oh
There's
my
the
goodness.
lights.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like isolation is like one of the
It's
worst.
a form of torture, is what
It
it
is.
is.
It's,
really
like
is.
solitary confinement in prisons. They're banning that now because
Yeah.
it's so.
Yeah, it's
The
just
effects on the
terrible.
mentality.
It's the worst thing that you could do to a human because humans are pack animals and
They're-
they're organisms that
Mhm.
evolve. Even introverts need human interaction.
Yeah.
And
Right.
when you don't like give people's senses the ability to interact with another human,
Yeah, we're networking creatures.
yeah, then it's like depriving an animal of food
Yeah.
or
Right.
You know,
Or a plan of light.
yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
And you're saying networking creatures. I heard a theory the other day on NPR.
Mhm.
A guy was like, your happiness can be measured at how well embedded you are in your network. Like,
Absolutely.
how
Oh,
you're
yeah.
moving around. And that just is
Mhm.
like, even the spirit is, you're not a good person on your own.
You have to have other
You
people.
have to have interactions, and that's where you know where you know.
Exactly.
So your
Yeah.
thoughts can be whatever. It's how you react with people, and that's what your life
Absolutely.
experience is.
Mhm.
Yeah, so.
I've been like playing a game recently, and like the story of that game has been like the most amazing story that I've like ever seen in a game. And my like dream is to come up with stories like that, to like share creatively stories like that. And I realized that the reason a story like that is like so amazing, it's Warframe, by the way. I don't know if you've heard of it.
In a second.
But
yeah.
like it's the reason it's so good is because it wasn't one person writing the story. A story, a good
okay.
story needs to have multiple people writing
Right.
it. Multiple
Yeah.
people
Multiple
putting their
people.
creative aspects in.
Mhm.
And like it's a process too. You need time, people, and effort. And once you put those
Right.
together, that's when you get like something that's
Excellent.
beautiful.
They're formed,
Exactly.
yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
So Warframe,
Mhm.
it's probably on a PC platform.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yep, yep.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Steam.
Oh yeah.
Steam.
Yeah. We don't play nothing else on PCs. But all right. So what is the story?
It's
so it's set
really
in like
long.
a post-apocalyptic sort of future.
There are several factions, but the original was the Orokin,
Uh-huh.
and the Orokin created
Okay.
a virus called the Technocyte. And the
Okay.
Technocyte was what they used. They tried to use the Technocyte to
So originally, Orokin wanted to explore outside the solar system.
Yeah.
To create further
Right.
bonds with other societies. So they created the Sentients, which are self-replicating robots, which are based on real life.
Real life,
yeah.
Talking about that.
they just
Yeah.
sent him out
Mars.
to like the Tau system.
the Tau system to colonize there, but eventually it was discovered that they have a weakness to the void. So the sentients rebelled against the Orkin. The
Come
Orkin
back.
created the Technocyte, which is a virus that was supposed to destroy
Destroy the
Yeah.
the sentients.
But it didn't work out for them.
it didn't work out very
Yeah.
well for them, so they started just like hodgepodging a bunch of different viruses and creating a bunch of different weapons.
And then they created the Warframe, which is a human that's been infected to the with a Technocyte, but
only just
yeah.
enough so that it like makes them into killing machines.
something that can be controlled
Okay.
and directed.
Mhm.
But the Warframes themselves wound up
rebelling against the
yeah.
Orkins again. It seems like
Somehow.
everything they create always
Mhm.
rebels
Right,
against
right,
them.
right. So the Technocytes are AI that just became self-aware and just.
Well, the sentients are AI that became self-aware. The
Sentients.
Technocyte was
Is
a
a
Oh,
virus.
Technocyte's the virus. Okay,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
sentient. So,
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
so just like we're trying to print up bases on Mars right now with moon dust.
Yeah,
Have
exactly.
you seen
That's
that?
what it, that's
Yeah,
what
and they're like, no, we're keeping it. We're not turning on the oxygen.
Mhm.
These plants. Go get it, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and then
Alright.
like the way the story continues is there's these children that they're like a separate like
separate entirely
separate group.
until they get
and they get
infused.
sent into
The
the
void.
void by a ship called the 10-0.
The
and
void
that-
is sort of like a
yeah.
space between space. It's like hyper realistic.
and then
Okay.
it's linked to I hear time travel and
like a wormhole.
space
yeah,
The
travel.
void's like a
exactly. It's
wormhole.
that
Yeah,
general area
and
of science.
as they're sent through the ship called the 10-0 through the void, they get their name, the 10-0, 10-0,
Mhm.
and the 10-0 they get like these powers from the void, and they
Mhm.
come out like a little crazy, but they start to gather themselves because the Lotus
Yeah.
is like this mother figure who takes them in and takes care of them. And
Mhm.
over time, they realize that they can like help control the Warframe. The Warframes that are crazy.
The warframes
can-
that were created as killing machines
Yeah.
become the other half of the children who now are able to control them.
Oh
through-
wow! It's like, wow, that's awesome.
Isn't
So
that
the
crazy?
kids are there to link in Avatar
Exactly.
style to run the
Transference.
ones that are already
Exactly.
out there.
And the process is called transference. It's how they
Okay.
like link in and control with them. And at the beginning of the game, you don't even know that there's this Tenno figure. You're just playing as a Warframe, and you have to complete quests. And
Oh, so
eventually,
you're
you
a
find,
Warframe, and then
Mhm.
eventually you meet your link-up kid.
Exactly.
And
So
then
the
one-
kids weren't sent there as killers. They have
The kids were originally designed like the Orkin are really a bad
They're
society in
terrible.
general.
Yeah.
So they wanted to use the children as weapons, but the
Right.
children were designed to be there to help be the other half of the Warframe, to take something that was broken
and fix it.
and make it whole.
Okay, so they
Mhm.
were sent there to be the brain to like get control.
Exactly.
Have you
Yeah.
read any Orson Scott Card Ender's Game style?
Ooh, I've
I
read a
heard
little bit of
Ender's
Ender's
Game,
Game.
yeah.
Read a little bit of it. Watched
I
the
saw the
movie.
movie.
Okay, well the movie.
Yeah,
of course.
it's- it doesn't do it justice, I know.
Well, that's not even the right line. It wasn't the same thing. Like,
Mhm.
yeah, especially for us flying and stuff. You guys read the book, but
Mhm.
those kids, that's what they were doing.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
That's exactly what they were doing. They were controlling the fleet.
Yeah.
The real fleet, even though they thought they were just playing a game.
Yeah, that's terrifying, but
Pretty rad.
super cool, like creative story ideas that are just amazing. that
Amazing.
You
dude.
can't just think of if you're just one person. You need multiple people doing that.
Right, right.
Mhm.
That's why they all have those huge thanks at the beginning of the books.
Mhm.
Right on. So, competition. We're just flying. What is it to you?
You go first.
Flying is how do I put it?
Do you want me to go first?
You go first, and then I'll sort of
So,
brainstorm.
The air is a medium.
Yeah.
And you are the paintbrush. That is my
Beautiful.
opinion.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Flying, people weren't meant to fly at first, but people weren't meant to cross the ocean either, and they did. And when they did, that's when like humanity just like surrounded the globe, and you can look at it one way or another. Like, of course, there were negative effects, but at the same time, there were positive effects because we discovered new people and we made new connections. And what flying is doing is in the sports community, it's allowing people to discover new people and make
Mhm.
strong connections. Because this community that we're in, like, I haven't been in a lot of other sports communities, but I'm pretty sure that this one is very tight knit
unique.
compared to like
It's
soccer or football.
incredibly tight-knit.
Because I know like
Because it's small.
tons of people who
It's small.
fly, people from other like countries I know that have
Right.
like flown. And to me, the idea of flying is just to express yourself just like any other creative medium.
Exactly.
And there's competitions because what better way to express yourself than to like throw
Throw your
everything that you
skills down
have.
and see how they put
yeah,
up with
yeah,
other
put
people.
up with other people. And that's not to say that like oh you're better or worse than somebody else. It's to
No,
say
not at all.
you can learn
It's
from
sharing
people
skill and
and you
important,
can like
know.
show people what they need to learn over time.
And that medium we were talking about,
Mm-hmm.
it's a sports medium. You're
Yeah.
pushing yourself. It's hard,
Yeah.
but it's also a beautiful medium of expression.
Mhm.
Yes.
There's nothing else like it that allows you to express yourself. Is
Yeah.
that 3D or 4D? What is that?
I would call that 3D.
Well, I
3D
would call that
dances.
40 actually.
Really?
It would
I
be
would say
40
because
dimensions.
it's in 3 dimensions, but the art of it is experienced through the 4th dimension of time. You
True.
experience the
Right.
movement of it all.
Beautiful.
And to me, that sort of links into what I would say the sport is to me. It's sort of my escape from like my normal life. Not
Right.
a lot of people know that Car and I are like,
Indoor
indoor
skydivers.
skydivers. It's not something that you just walk up to somebody and say, "Hey,
Hey,
I
yeah,
do
I
indoor
will."
skydiving."
With that,
And,
because like there's a barrier for me. I like want to tell people about it, but at the same time, I don't like
sort of
coming
have
after
your iFly
showboating. You know
self,
what I mean?
and you have your
Exactly.
intersocietal self. And for me, iFly is my escape from my intersocietal self, my sad sort of introverted nerd.
Right. That's your super side, son. He takes
And,
it. He leaves the high school, rips off his shirt, his suit's on.
Yeah.
He's got a
Pretty much.
helmet in his bag.
It's the one place where I sort of feel at home with like a community of people. Because
Yes.
otherwise, I'm introverted. I just stay away. I don't usually make a lot of
Yeah.
social interactions and connections with people. I'm not too terribly bad at it. I just don't prefer to do it. But iFly
Right.
is where it's different. That's why I like interacting with people. That's like my social side, where it sort of comes out there.
Of just who you are.
Mm-hmm.
So on the drop zone in skydiving, a lot of people lose their old identities as they become jumpers because they become something new, and their old life doesn't really pertain to it or even accept it
Mm-hmm.
a lot, right? Especially
Sort
for
of makes sense, 'cause
skydiving,
it is,
jumping out
like,
of
two
airplanes,
different
and people,
Metamorphosis.
so they have to keep it hidden though because other people think they're crazy or at their job. Or some people think it's exciting, some people think you're trying to kill yourself,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but when you get to the drop zone, all that other you is kind of gone, and you're just a dude in the blue and red jumpsuit.
Yeah.
Oh, he almost hit a tree. We're gonna call that dude Tree for the rest of his life, and that's just Tree, and he's just Tree now.
Yeah.
Nobody knows his name was Jason something that was works at the post office. Nobody cares,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're just who your personality is.
Superman.
It's kind of like
Yeah.
whenever you're playing a game, the reason you play the game is
become
to
more.
do something you aren't. You become something that you aren't already.
And you
Right.
can't see the people in the sky, but you
You
can't
know
know
they're
them.
there.
You don't
Right.
you know they're there, and you don't know who they are, but they know who they are, and
Right.
it's like the whole like Superman idea where like everybody knows that his original self is like just some nerd guy, but
Right.
then
Working at a
Yeah.
post office or
Well, he was a reporter, but
Reporter,
yeah.
that's right.
and then like Superman himself is like just flying through like the world saving people, and nobody makes a connection, and I don't know how Facebook hasn't tagged him yet. I mean, one would think, one would
You
think
with all the facial
Yeah.
recognition, son.
yeah, but still.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And being given a space that allows you to be you based on something you love and not on who you grew up with, what school you went to, your economic
Exactly.
background.
It's like a new start almost.
Yeah, it is. It's a secret person. So
Yeah.
that's why I tell people when they're choosing their colors, that's like your superhero colors.
Exactly.
And when you
yeah.
put that suit on, you do turn into a different person.
Man, I love our color.
And we were trying to
Yeah, the
explain
blue, white,
this
and gray is pretty
to
sick. Yeah.
to mom and dad the other day. They asked, "Why don't you tell people about like this sport?" And it's like we really wish we could, but it's like I'm sort of a different person when I'm not in the tunnel. When I'm out with other people, it's sort of that facade.
I don't know. For me,
that
it's a little
sort of
different. For me, I'm the same person but amplified. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Like
Right, yeah.
certain
Well, it's more
traits are
you.
more amplified.
Yeah.
Because like when me and Casper are at school, he's an introvert and I'm an ambivert, and that means that I talk to people, and sometimes I'm really excited and I'm like the life of a party, and then
Right.
other times I'm like shut down and like I don't talk to anybody and I'm just super shy. And Casper, he's like shy all the time.
I'm
but-
just well. I wouldn't say that I'm shy. I would say that I
Well,
just
no.
don't.
he just doesn't
generally approach
yeah,
people.
He doesn't
Yeah.
approach
Yeah.
people.
Well, you're calculating.
And then-
You're
and then
like a
I'd
thinker.
like to think that.
Yeah, right. Yeah. You're calculating, man. And what? I mean, this doesn't matter. But
No,
you
go for
guys, what's your astrological sign? When you were born?
Sagittarius.
Sagittarius.
December 2nd.
Sagittarius. Okay, I don't know
Yeah.
anything about that.
I don't either, but
I
I,
think
hear
it's
that
knowledge seekers, sort of like.
trustworthy.
So there's like the stereotypical strong man, the smart man, and the wise man. Right? I think Sagittarius is the wise man.
Okay, very cool, very cool, man. You guys are so rad. All right, so who's writing the story? What's the story?
Oh yes, I'm writing a story. It's inspired off of the imagination games that me and Casper used to play. Remember
explain
how,
that to
how
me,
I was
man.
saying a story can't have one person writing it. You need two
You have
people
to have
writing it.
two or
Right.
more.
A long time ago, me and Casper just did that. And the imaginations games that we play, they'd be like, it's not like you think you're one person one day and then the next day you're another person. We were the same people every single day, like creating the story, and we created timelines. And after a year went by, we had something that you could write in several novels. And then after 2 years went by, we had like an entire universe worked
And then
out.
like 4 years slips by, and it's like, oh shoot.
And we're
We've got an
grown up.
entire
We can't do that
universe.
anymore. We can't run around outside pretending we're like superheroes fighting villains.
Yeah.
So I decided to write about it instead.
So this whole time you didn't record any of it. It was just a fun game.
Exactly.
It was just
And
a
so,
game as a child. Yeah.
The one that I'm writing right now is inspired off of that, and it takes
original.
takes place in. I'm not sure if it's a long time ago. I'm pretty sure it's post.
I'd say a
like
little bit
over,
like
far in the
post-Earth,
future Earth,
future-
like, or on a different planet, but near Earth, right?
Right.
It's basically Earth, and there are these people who are at the core worlds, and the core worlds is like the main center. It's like New York City basically.
Right.
And then Michaela, she's the main character, and I did this thing where I always write female characters for some reason.
Right on.
I do this thing. She starts at the beginning on an island, and she isn't really the bay, and she's not like attuned to the core worlds or anything. She's like a native almost, And then this one dude, Hidalgo, just comes along and tells her that he needs help and he needs to take her to the core worlds now. And to her, that's like all myth and legend, and
Right.
you know, it's like terrifying for her. But then there's like this new entity that comes along in her village right when Hidalgo comes along, and they're called Shadowmancers, or you know, a name impending.
Right.
And like they're entities from a dark universe that have come to obviously destroy this universe.
Right.
Yeah,
Cause
enslave.
destruction.
And so Hidalgo needs to take Michaela and this other guy, Christopher, to the core worlds so they can train and become archangels.
Okay.
And what archangels are, they're just like, you know, they're the superheroes that fight the bad guys.
Awesome.
And they have different attachments to elements. Christopher is like attuned with Father Sky, so he controls the stars and the weather. Hidalgo is like
Mother Earth.
he's attuned with Mother Earth. He controls like the earth, groundwater, crystals, anything that comes from the earth. And Michaela, she's the main character. She doesn't understand her power at first, but she's the medium. She's energy, pure
She's the
energy
flow.
that
Oh,
communicates. Like, yeah, from a philosophical point of view, she's flow.
Right
And
on. Right on.
like while they're figuring this out, they like come up with like they find new friends and new people who are helping them out, and their team begins to grow. But what they realize is like Mother Earth and Father Sky, those are the two figures that they worship. But at the end of the story, spoiler alert, but you know, at the end of the story, they realize that Michaela is Mother Earth and Christopher is Father Sky, and they were writing the story for themselves, just kind of like the idea of
Oh,
the
that's
Tenno
pretty
before.
rad. I got you.
Yeah, yeah.
I got you.
But
That's
they,
pretty rad.
But they, Mother Earth and Father Sky were actually, this is like theoretical stuff that I haven't gotten to yet, but I'm thinking that they're humans from Earth before, who are trying to find a way to fight the expansion of, because do you know how like the universe is expanding?
Yeah, right.
Dark energy makes it expand.
Right.
Dark matter
holds
is
the
in,
galaxies
holds it
together.
Right.
And they're trying to keep it from collapsing. They're trying to like increase the dark energy in the universe.
To keep it expanding.
Yeah, and
the
so
entropy
the
going
light
up.
side in this case is dark energy, and
But the expansion is, see, it's not slowing down.
exactly.
Exactly.
But like in the future,
It does
scientists-
slow
Some
down.
scientists say that it could. They don't know what's going to
Yeah,
happen.
yeah,
But in this
right,
future,
right,
it
right.
does slow down, and so they try to increase the dark energy in the universe. And their evil brother, is Kestrel, and he tries to slow down the expansion of the universe and
He
bring it
wants
back
everything
down.
to collapse.
So it's like this fight instead of light and dark. Instead, it's dark
It-
matter
it-
and dark
oh, that's
energy.
awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's also science fiction.
And then
So,
the
so
rest
who
is-
who are your favorite writers?
Oh, dude,
I like.
I can't remember his name. You
wow.
like?
I can't remember.
No,
mine
you,
either.
have you heard of Daniel X? James
Ja-
Patterson.
James
I
Patterson.
know Patterson.
Yeah, and then
Patterson.
I can't remember the name of the one book
Ian
series.
Collifer.
So look,
No.
listen. A lot of what you said sounds like Margaret Weiss, Tracy Hickman fantasy novels. Okay,
Really?
they have a world called Kryn.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah,
and that elves, dragons, wizards.
that's
Yeah.
exactly what.
No,
That's
this is.
basically
yeah.
exactly what
Okay.
it is.
But what happens is people take anybody is welcome to do it. It's an open platform, and
Mhm.
people have done it. Like there's a lot of really good authors that
Mhm.
take their characters and do backstories on other people and write their own
Oh,
worlds.
so it's like a whole
That's
like
cool.
it's a collaboration.
It-
like a
yeah, it's a
societal collaboration,
huge
really.
collaboration.
so
You guys
cool.
should check it out.
That
Margaret
is
Weiss
awesome.
and Tracy Hickman. And what I do is I read everything an author puts out,
Yeah.
every book,
You got
every
to.
word. You
Yeah.
got to, because
No,
you're
yeah.
not going
If
to find
it's a
another
universe
good
that
book
big.
for
You
a
can't
while.
you can't like start like a story like that and get 30% through and like not finish it. Like once
Yeah.
you pass the 30% mark, you gotta finish
No,
it.
I mean, I've read, like, if I get a book and I like the author, I'll read everything he's written,
Oh,
every
yeah.
book he's written.
Yeah.
Like,
you gotta
I'm-
absorb that
I
information.
just can't, because you
You
get
don't want it to be over.
terrible books sometimes.
Mhm.
Yeah, you never want it to be over.
Mhm.
It's the worst part about a book. People don't understand.
Mhm.
As soon as you open, it's going to end, and that sucks because those are your friends. You know,
Mhm. Yeah. There's a-
they're gone now.
The recent, sorry to like digress, but the recent book that I like read was called The Song of Edmund.
Okay.
And Edmund is like, he's a singer, but he's taken into one like the planet that he's on is tidally locked. It's called Tau,
Mhm.
and I think it's called that. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's
There's a
Tau.
lot of Taus that we've been recently talking about, but it's tidally locked. And on one side there's the Daysiders, and on one side there's the Nightsider. And he's a Daysider. Daysiders are peaceful. Nightsiders, they take
Not
control
so
of
peaceful.
evolution by gladiator. Like they're gladiators, and they
Right.
pit like the best people against each other, and whoever wins passes on their genetics. Right?
It's a
It's like
gladiatorial
Darwinism.
Right.
And he's taken to that side, but like he's peaceful and he's melodic. But his father is a Nightsider, so he's got like a mother-father clashing thing, and he's trying to control the violence inside him. And he
Oh,
does
wow,
so
that's
through
good.
music. He does it through music. Everything that he does is music. He fights via rhythm. There's swords in the story that are like siren swords, and they sing whenever you use
Oh,
them.
right on.
And then at the end of the story, like it's so sad. Well, I can't spoil anything.
spoil
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
I won't
yeah.
spoil
Don't
anything.
spoil it because
But
people
it's,
already.
it's,
But
it's a beautiful,
who's the
beautiful
author?
story. I can't remember the author though, but it's a Song of Edmund, and it's like a
The Song
really,
of
really
Edmund.
good
Song
book.
of Edmund.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Not with
Such a
a D.
good one.
It's not with a D. It's Edmund.
Yeah,
so
that's
right.
Edmund.
That,
I had to
that
get
might
used to
confuse
that.
people.
And then there's a character in there called Edgar, like with a D
Okay,
instead of just
right.
Edgar.
That's where the D went.
Yeah.
That's what Edmund. Oh, good. I gotcha. All right. Well, I'm going to digress a little bit
No
back
worries.
to the
Absolutely.
competition
Yeah.
part of flying, because I don't want to. I don't want to overlook how much you've achieved there, and we haven't even hit on it, right?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
we're just kind of brushing against it. Where was okay? First competition.
Ooh, I like this one. So it was the
Houston.
FS. No, first
No,
competition
wait, first
was FS.
competition was
It was
FS
belly
at a home
flight.
tunnel.
Yeah, your home tunnel. It was like, well, it was at every tunnel. They like broadcasted their like video.
Individual
and,
competition
yeah.
results
I
would be
remember
done
that.
at each
Yeah.
individual tunnel.
And we did that, and it was our first competition. But we had Colin training us, and Colin, he's like a drill sergeant. Like
Oh,
he
yeah.
like just tells us everything. He's like, you're gonna do this, and you guys are gonna win this.
He was the most
Right.
intense coach that we had at that point. And
Mhm.
at first, it was sort of an acquired taste. We're like, I don't know about this guy.
Right.
And then, like, eventually a week
Yeah.
later, we're like, okay, yeah, we're pumped. We're ready
Yeah.
to do this.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
And he
right.
really brought us through and actually brought us into the sort of competitive part of this
Mhm.
sport. Anyway, we thought it was a national competition, but we
Well, it
found
was
out
Canada.
later
It was Canada and
continental.
America.
So it was
Right.
the French Canadians and the Americans.
The
And we
dang French
scored-
Canadians. They
we
won.
scored third because the two French Canadian teams scored first and second. But in the nation,
in
we
the
scored
United
first.
States, yeah.
Yeah.
And we were so like pumped
Pumped.
for that.
That
We had
sort
no
of-
idea that we'd like place like that.
That was
Right.
the tipping point
Mhm.
of our interest in the competitive
You
side
got,
of the
we
sport.
can do this.
Yeah,
And
and
how
soon-
how old were you in that first comp?
I don't
Oh,
know,
goodness, like,
man.
It was a kids comp. So you've been flying
14,
for like a
probably
year
3
at
years
that point.
after we had started. I would say that was 3 years.
3 years
14 to
in?
15. Like about 14 to 15.
3 years.
I'd say maybe 14, 14 and a half.
No, I don't think we were that young. I think it was 15.
Maybe
Really?
15.
And it was a belly comp.
It was
Yeah.
belly comp.
It was belly.
But we weren't just belly flyers at the time. But we
Yeah,
had like, we
right,
just
right,
like
you had
back
to-
home.
I
Oh, that's
remember.
right. I forgot
Yeah,
about
we just
that.
went
I
to belly
remember.
flying and we like fully focused on that the entire
And you guys
time.
were engineering things, trying to get it faster. That was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And what was the next comp?
The next one
Houston.
was the Houston one. That was the
That was my
first-
favorite competition.
Was that one IBA sponsored? That was IBA.
So, wait,
sponsored.
so you have 2 golds then? Because you have the American gold in the
Well, that
first
was
comp.
technically
Yeah.
bronze because it wasn't gold because it was international, sort of.
But
'cause
in America, you were
in
gold.
America it was
Yeah.
gold.
So who cares about
And then
Canada?
Canada's a beautiful
yeah,
place.
yeah, but
No,
that doesn't count.
So Houston, we got the gold because we were going up against Nico and Nikki, and they were like they.
And you
threw their
got
team
gold
together.
against
Mhm.
Miko?
Because they had
Ah,
I
Gonzalez.
still talk to him. He texted me like
I
the
love
other
him.
day. He's
I
so
love
funny.
he's a great
I
dude.
love him.
Shout out to Nico.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were going against them, but they were sort of like they threw their team together last minute because they were focusing mainly on the freestyle. Both Nikki and Nico were both focusing on
Right.
freestyle, and
This is BFS.
No, this is
no,
dynamic.
this is dynamic.
Oh, this
Yeah.
is so you went straight from belly to dynamic.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and this is your second
We haven't
comp.
done VFS. We do want to at some point, though. I feel like just maybe at least 1 or 2 competitions to do
Yeah,
VFS.
you got to hold still to do
Yeah.
BFS.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
so because we've been like moving all this time. Like,
Your whole
static
life?
is like
Yeah.
static
Mhm.
is like an alien world to me, but it's like a whole new level of control. You know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Yeah.
It's exclusive.
I
Almost
originally
like, indoor
had wanted
skydiving.
to learn static before I learned dynamic, and I'm glad that we did. We did learn static a little bit before we got to carving, which I think is
Right.
partially why it took us so long to learn carving on head down, just because of how different a realm it was. Because whenever we start with belly, you start learning to stay still. You start with back, you start by learning to stay still.
Right.
Head down, head up, you always start by learning to stay still. And whenever you get to dynamic, the art of dynamic is not staying still.
You have to move.
If you're staying still, you're doing something
You
wrong. You're in
can't
static.
stop. Do
Yeah,
not stop.
Exactly. That's why it was
you
so
have a
You
train
stop and
wreck
you run.
behind you. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
So whenever we did that competition, we wound up realizing that we were up in the team room at the
Oh,
time,
I
and Casper's like,
remember
"Okay, there are 3 teams.
I hope
I
we at
just want to
least
get a
get
silver." So we come
silver.
down, and Mom's like, "Good news, the 3rd team dropped out. There's only 2 teams. You'll get silver."
Yes.
But we wound up taking gold. That was fun.
Yeah.
In dynamic,
Yeah.
your first dynamic comp.
That was
so-
like dynamic advanced. So the next one was
Dynamic
the big leagues.
advanced.
That was when we were.
That
in,
was dynamic open, where everybody goes to after
Yeah,
dynamic.
this is that
advanced,
was the next
which is a little
one.
counterintuitive because dynamic
Right.
advanced is
Sounds like it's
less
it's the first
advanced
level.
than dynamic open.
Yeah, open. Yeah.
Because open has
I don't know
extra
why they named
maneuvers
it
that
that.
aren't in advanced, and open also has the free routine that's not in advanced. I don't
Mhm.
think.
Okay.
So we had to come
So
up with
let's
like,
let's give some backstory real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Belly flying when you're flying on your belly, just like it sounds.
Yeah,
and
it's what you
and
do
you're-
whenever you first start skydiving as well.
And to compete, you build formations with your partner as fast as you
Mhm.
can against
exactly.
the clock. Static flying, BFS flying, is a static sit fly or head down position
Mhm.
where you're doing the same thing as you would be in your belly fly competition,
But with a
building
new dimension added to it,
formations, but
yeah.
just like with transitions, but it's still just formations. Dynamic is pure movement, follow and lead, and
Mhm.
you have to do certain maneuvers
It's
at
like a
certain
race that's
heights.
speed-based.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really cool. It's actually the future of flight, basically.
I like to think of it like you build a racetrack and then you race on it as fast as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Like
Each
a
individual
different
round
That's
is
a
a
good
new
way to think
racetrack.
about
sort
it.
of.
Yeah, and you can see the racetrack. That's a good way to think about it.
Yeah.
Just understanding what's going on
Mhm.
in there is tough.
Oh,
yeah,
I
it took
remember
us
when we
like
were first
3. It took us a
learning
good 2.5 years just to memorize all the dive pools, and they're
Right.
coming up with new ones,
Every
like
day.
vertical mixers.
They're talking about
yeah,
adding
layout mixers.
The way that the dynamic rounds work is there's 3 sort of Lego blocks that you sort of stick together to make it work. There's the
Snake.
snake, the vertical, and the mixer.
The
The snake is
yeah.
just standard.
That's the power run. You got to do that as fast as you can.
and then
Yeah.
the vertical.
The
is
snake is an snake pattern, an infinity pattern around the tunnel as fast
Yeah,
as you can. Imagine
exactly.
a snake going around chasing its tail, kind of
Exactly.
in a figure eight. So
Mhm.
you do that as fast as you can around the tunnel.
without busting on gates. You have to pass the lasers so
Right.
that you're not like just cutting corners and stuff.
So there's lights that indicate start and finish, and if you're trying to
Exactly.
cheat and cut, you get busted for it.
And they
You
add
got to
5
go
seconds
around
to
the
your total
entire
time.
track. You can't cut across the field, basically.
Oh
and
yeah.
then the
Yeah.
layout, or excuse me, the vertical, that's like a
The
layout.
hard. That's my least favorite part because there's a ring and we're tiny, and in order to be able to go fast, you need to turn up to the top speed,
Right.
and the ring.
You
is
have
like,
to go
know,
under the ring.
Yeah, you have to go
on
under
the
the ring.
layout.
Right.
And
It's kinda
since
hard
we're
to
light, we'll
describe
just
what
shoot
layout
all the way
is.
up. And
Oh, so you guys have a problem staying closer to it. You go up too
Oh
high.
yeah, we go too high
Yes.
because we're featherweights.
Yeah, you just got to get vertical faster.
Yeah,
Mhm.
definitely.
and then
The mixer is always the funnest, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's just sort of a throw together maneuver that they just have a bunch of different kinds that they add at the end to make it look cool, I think.
And now you were saying in the new blocks they're going to do what with the mixer?
Vertical mixers, which
Vertical
is where
mixers,
It's a
so it's gonna be
combination
like
of
a
vertical
layout?
and
A
mixer.
butterfly is a vertical mixer, correct?
I would say
almost.
it's close to a vertical
but it's like
mixer.
it's more carving.
You'd
than
have
a
to do more
butterfly.
carving than a butterfly.
So it's
to-
like you.
So explain it. A vertical mixer.
It's like it's very difficult.
if you combine like a shuffler,
Uh-huh.
where you have them
Okay.
splitting the tunnel and then
but you know
crossing
how
each
like
other.
mix
Right.
shuffler does like this.
Yeah, mix shuffler. Yeah.
The vertical layout shuffler would be like one person goes over and one person goes
and the
under.
ring counts.
And now you guys are both
so you have
down.
to avoid being busted by
Mhm.
the ring.
Okay, so they're splitting the layout basically.
Yes.
Exactly. So they
Yeah.
it's like a layout
that's not
and
so
carving.
bad.
It's you're doing eagles.
Yeah,
Eagles,
that's
yeah,
not
it's
so
like-
bad.
but
That's
it's
pretty rad.
It's cool. It's,
It's
awesome. We were
awesome.
I think
trying
that's
to-
even better than
Yeah.
the layout.
I think
the
too,
ring.
yeah.
The ring is the hard part though. On that, like
Yeah,
the ring and
I'm
making
sure
sure everybody's
because
starting.
it's a separate partner, not just
Mhm.
yourself now on the
Mhm.
side.
Yeah.
Because
And the fact that you guys aren't doing the same thing at the same time instead.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
both people have to operate on the level
It's not like
where
a
they know
follow the
they-
leader sort of thing. You do have to have your own understanding of the racetrack
Yeah.
if we're continuing with that analogy.
yeah, that's a perfect analogy.
Mhm.
Except for when you get to the mixer layout
Yeah.
part, then it's a Ferris
Yeah.
carnival wheel
Yeah.
Mhm.
on crack.
Pretty much.
Right?
All right, man, that's crazy. So who's putting out these lines
I have no idea.
I don't know. It's just the higher ups of the Society of
of the
Tunnel Flying.
dynamic
Yeah,
tunnel
probably the
flying?
IBA.
Yeah. IBA is not fully like there are other sponsors.
I know there are other, but IBA is the biggest,
I think-
sort of the centralized.
I think they're changing some of that though. I'm not sure.
Are they?
Yeah, we
Maybe
don't
I'm
know
wrong.
what's
Yeah.
going on. With
I
that.
just do the competition, man.
Yeah, I just
Slide the
read,
lines,
son.
yeah.
I believe you can submit your own if you wanted to.
Probably. Yeah. There's
Dude,
definitely
you
a
know.
place to do it.
Like we should like practice one really fast and like
And
make sure we.
You
make
can
sure
do
we
it?
can do it.
Man,
It'll
you
be
guys have
us.
your own book. Because look, the Roans are just like you
yeah,
two.
the Roans.
And you've gotten
They
coaching
were the ones who
from
told
them.
us about that.
Okay,
vertical
well,
mixers.
they're two of the best coaches
Oh,
in the
absolutely,
game.
by
You
far.
know, shout out to Ben and Devin Roan.
Absolutely.
Excellent skydivers. You're the future of that. I know that's what you're going to do, right?
It's oh yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
the only reason I'm not leaving him whenever I go to college.
Oh.
So you guys get right on.
Hey,
I'm kidding.
I don't know what to say to that.
So I advise you to start putting your playbook together now.
Oh,
Create some lines for your
Absolutely.
own coaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, yeah, they learn the Shaheen this, the Shaheen that, because everything's the Roan this, the Roan that
Mhm. Yeah.
now. You know, you guys are the next set, and kids are looking up to you. And what you guys have is a platform like YouTube now that those guys didn't really
oh,
have.
yeah, absolutely.
So you're going to be, I mean, we're rooting for you to get on that Olympic team.
Yeah.
C squared.
Olympics are. I never really thought as I was growing up that I would ever have anything to do with
The Olympics, but like I'm
Yeah.
really excited for it.
But
Tokyo, right?
yeah,
Is it
they
gonna
were
be
talking
in
about that.
Tokyo?
They were talking about was it the 2021 or 2024?
Yeah. And that tunnel is done and
Yeah,
running
2024.
amazingly right now.
2024. Yeah.
That tunnel has like
Fast speed.
super powered tunnel, awesome.
Yeah.
Just it looks gorgeous.
Oh
Have
my
you
gosh.
seen that thing?
I think I've seen videos of Tokyo.
Yeah, man. If we could see that Tokyo tunnel, that'd be dope. There's a base jumping door at the top.
I was always wondering about that. I wanted to see that. Like a door at the top. And
There's a
That thing's
door at the
terrifying.
top.
Honestly,
I have been wanting to see that since
God,
like
it's
before
gotta
I
be.
could.
I gotta see that percentage, man.
Yeah,
You
no
better
way.
check that percentage, son.
like-
Yeah.
right, dude. I've done that before. I've jumped in where like
Plenty of people do all the time.
we
Yeah.
finished the line and who was it?
Some driver doesn't get it that you guys are getting right back in
Mhm.
because you guys finish.
And it's abnormal. Normally
Yeah.
people get out and they just
They
stay
get
out,
right back
especially if you have
in.
7 seconds. You don't really usually jump back in for 7 seconds. But when we're training, you have to use all of that time that you have.
Every
so when we
second.
jump right back in.
Especially when Rodney's paying for it, son. You better use that. you better
you,
use that
Dad.
time. Yeah. You have very supportive parents. I love your parents.
Absolutely.
And that's a huge point. It's hard to get people like you two without such a good, strong family base. So
Exactly. You have
huge
to have
shout
a
out.
really strong supportive family for it because it's a really
You need people who like the sport.
Yeah.
You need family members who like the sport enough to have their children want to do it, and you
Mhm.
need the children to want to do it too.
absolutely.
Because while
Right.
it's amazing and fun to do, there is a point where
A lot
it
of people think
becomes
of it as a
ride, but it's not a ride. Like there's
No,
a point where it
it's not a
becomes
ride.
more of like a, not I don't want to say responsibility, but it is a responsibility.
it is absolutely.
And like where it's more of like you have to dedicate yourself to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
It's like
And-
any sport, like football or baseball, where eventually you get to the point where you're drawn in, but
It's less of a game and
it's
more of a way of
a
life.
way of life. Yeah.
Right, right.
Mhm.
Yeah, definitely. And like that's why the community's so tight because people
Mhm.
they sacrifice and they give up a lot,
And that's
to
the one
be
thing they all
there.
have in common. Yeah.
and that's what you have. You know what you've given up, and you're around these other
Mhm.
people. So when you guys get on the plane, it's going to be that element also added with the risking your life with some
Mhm.
people
Yeah,
doing something
right.
you love.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
even if you don't actually skydive with these people,
Mm-hmm.
just because you were on the plane with them and maybe gave them a high five, they remember you for life.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Be like, yo, dude, I was with you like 5 years ago. We made a jump. I thought we jumped. Well, we were on the plane.
Yeah.
You know, like, yeah, man, that's a bond. We were on the
Uh-huh.
plane together. We went and did, you
Mhm.
know. So, like, that's how the community is. And then
Absolutely.
the thing about your community, though, is not everybody has to be over 18 and,
Yeah.
like, have a
Exactly,
bunch of
yeah.
money to skydive.
And
There's
it's
a lot of flyers.
Mhm.
There's like, yeah, of course you know the Wittenbergs.
Well, yes.
Every competition they
Shout
go
out
to,
the
they're the-
Wittenbergs.
They're the youngest kids. They always win.
Always the
And
fastest.
it's the smallest. It's the smallest people.
Tell me about
Yeah.
it, doggy.
And I feel like the fact that they started so young, their bodies are going to
They're
like
different.
grow into that.
I think they've probably got a
sport.
different anatomy than
Yeah,
other
slightly
people.
different muscular system because
And you do too, though,
Oh yeah.
because
we started a little bit
Earlier.
earlier in our age.
well, when
but-
you build these new neural pathways from flying,
Oh, yeah.
things you've
Mhm.
never
It's a new
used, your
neural
body has to force that to happen. You have things in your body going on that a normal person doesn't. And the more you do it, the more that's ingrained in you. You think differently.
Absolutely.
It affects your
Yeah.
life. It's a lifestyle, but it's also a genetic thing. Not only if it's genetics, but it affects you.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
All right, you know,
Mhm.
it's while you're sleeping, you can feel yourself like trying to
Yeah,
fix
I've
what was
had
wrong.
that.
I've had dreams. I've had dreams of flying.
yeah,
Lots of
yeah,
flying dreams.
definitely. And like so, yeah, like my kids fly.
Oh
And
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
they're
yes. Love your kids.
uncoached, dude. Like
That's the
I,
best way
I
to
showed
do
them
it.
how to straighten their legs once or twice, and then
Mhm.
that's why they fly all funny. But
They
it's
divide, they
just,
have their own
Yeah,
style.
their
That's their
style.
own
Yeah,
style,
They'll,
yeah.
they'll grow into it. They're
oh
awesome.
yeah,
I love your
super
kids.
awesome, man.
Mhm.
So here we go. How do your peers see you? Because they know you fly.
Some of our peers do, like half of them do, half of them don't. Our close friends know that we fly, but they don't know enough about it to sort of think of it as like a real sport. They think that it's like, okay, you go do that on weekends. It's like, no. We
And
do
then
that
our really
pretty much
really
every
close
other day.
our really
Yeah.
close friends are like, we'll
They
talk to
follow
them
us
about
closely,
it.
yeah.
Mhm.
They're
Yeah, they'll
real
they know about
supportive.
it.
Are they
And then
bored of it?
I
some
would say,
some people are.
Oh yeah, my
Yeah.
friends get so bored of skydiving.
Mhm.
Like, they don't-
I
try to
don't know
skydive
how
with
you can though. I mean, there was a point where I was like trying to figure something out, and I eventually started getting bored of it. But once I figured it out,
it was like
then-
the universe unlocks
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. But you know, when people don't really do it, they don't want to hear about your joy so
It's
much.
it's not.
You know, what I'm saying?
Like,
Like,
okay,
oh my god, this is so
psychologically-
awesome. I do this so awesome. You know, they're like, all right, whatever. My job sucks.
Mhm.
My life sucks. I don't want to hear about your cool.
Psychologically, people don't actually like listening to other people talk about themselves. They like hearing about other people talk.
about them.
About
We're all
them.
selfish psychologically.
We're all
Right, right,
psychologically
right,
selfish,
right.
and there are people who can sort of work around that. Like, I don't mind talking about other people a lot.
And I don't mind listening to other people because I love making
Yeah,
connections.
and
like
that's
that.
why it's
Right.
it's easier. I think we probably learned that growing up together
Because we had
to
somebody
do that
else.
with each other.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Why it's easier for us to sort of go out and just randomly make friends and randomly make connections.
Mhm.
yeah.
Even though we're shy.
Even though we're a little bit shy and sometimes I don't want
Yeah,
to.
but you're easily approachable, man. You guys do not have cocky attitudes, which you could if you wanted to, and you don't.
Heck no.
Very grateful for that.
We've
man.
always been like, try to be reserved about it.
Man, the air is the medium, and my body's the brush.
That's
Mhm.
a really good quote, man.
That was
that
I
should
had
be on the
to
front of
write
an
Shower
album.
thoughts.
The shower thoughts. All right, so we're gonna wrap this up.
All right.
C squared. Just follow these kids with competition. How do they find you?
Facebook.
So I'm actually working on a website at the moment that
Okay.
eventually we're gonna put online. I'm hoping to get iFly on board with this to help us out with it, like the Austin Tunnel community
Okay.
to help us out with this. But at the moment, you can reach out to us at Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Tunnel Team C Squared.
Tunnel Team C
And
squared.
we have an
Yeah.
Instagram.
Yeah, same thing. Tunnel Team
Probably
C
same
squared.
thing, Tunnel Team C Squared.
Tunnel Team C squared.
Mhm.
But I don't. You wanna close with a song, boys?
Sure.
You want to do a perfect way?
Perfect way.
Perfect way.
Let's get these set up right again. Hold on.
Yeah. Go ahead and get that set up.
We need to come really close.
What of course perfect way?
Oh, come on, dude. You don't.
AD.
Just that.
Yeah, man. Today's show is brought to you by WazzyCircus.com. We provide affordable and comfortable flight suits and skydiving gear, galactic track paintings and prints, shirts. This shirt is called Comet. You can't really see it, but whatever. The boys are wearing Spaceball and Ghosts, so you can check those out on the website and get prints. Also brought to you by LearnToSkydiveAustin.com. We combine cutting-edge technology and over a decade of experience to produce world-class flyers. Check me out at LearnToSkydiveAustin.com. Ladies and gentlemen, Relativity, Connor and Casper, Shaheen.
Sometimes I screw up in this world. I'm trying to find things to say, forgetting all my useful chords. I live in life in my own way. Sometimes I choke up on my words. I'm trying to find things to say, forgetting life I've yet rehearsed. I'm living life like a play I've yet rehearsed. And you're telling me I should get with the program. The program's glitched and you're telling me I should straighten up, but there's so much more. Can't you boob it? If the song is perfect, then I bet I better pay. But you know I'm not worth it, and I like it that way. If the song is perfect, then I bet I better pay. But you know we're not perfect, and I like it that way. Sometimes I screw up on my chords. I'm trying to find the things to play, forgetting all my useful words. I'm living life like a play I've been rehearsed. And you're telling me I should get with the program. The program's glitched and you're telling me I should straighten up, but there's so much more. Can't you boob it? If the song's perfect, then I bet I better pay. But you know I'm not worth it, and I like it that way. If the song's worth it, then I bet I better pay. But you know I'm not perfect, and I like it that way. It's a perfect day. I like it that way. If the song's perfect, then I bet I better pay. But you know I'm not worth it, and I like it that way. If the song's perfect, then I bet I better pay. But you know I'm not worth it, and I like it that way.
Yeah, let's go!
One day, man, I think I could cry. And when you fell on your back, lay flat, backtrack, look back, and track